Miss remix drama. Justified or overblown? People are angry. People are angry about the frog farm. People are angry about the goat farm. In general, the bronze grind right now seems like it's a lot. People are extremely upset about the people who got to take advantage of the farms and the ones who didn't. You know, there's the haves and the haves nots right now when it comes to bronze. But to be honest with you guys, to me, it's all a little bit overblown because WoW Remix is just a leveling, thing. That's all it is. It's a power boosted leveling thing. There's no real end game to it. No real, but people want the transmogs. I understand. People want the mounts, things like that. So let's see what this is all about here from Soul So Breezy. Why are people so angry?
The B-roll that you're seeing is so far my day-to-day in the Mr. Pandaria remix so far. It's a trash run that takes around 5 or so minutes to do. This is hard to fear, by the way. And it scores me approximately 500 or so bronze, 20, maybe 25 or so of those stat threads, and a little spattering of chipped gems. So far, I've never hit the instance limit because while doing this, I might be, I'm usually working on other things, or I'm clicking to the next YouTube video or the next thing on the Spotify, or, whatever. Or maybe the instance limit isn't working. I don't know. But I think as of this recording, more people have wised up and they're farming the spot too. And I'll just enjoy it while
it's going to get nerfed then.
Anyway, hey, it's Soul.
If a lot of people are doing it, it's going to get nerfed. That seems to be the trend here.
With another video on the Mr. Pandaria remix that is 1 part feedback, 2 parts commentary, maybe 3 parts commentary on the conversations that are going around the past couple days. I'm going to be just sharing my thoughts, and of course you can do the same in a comment. And I've been reading everything related to the remix and taking in how people are feeling. Maybe by now you know about the frog farming that came and went over the weekend.
How could you not?
Players were quick to point out that the frogs over in the Timeless Isle could still hyperspawn.
What have we learned, though?
All sorts of goodies like
what's a lesson that you've learned from all of this? If you figure out an exploit in the game, don't say anything. Don't say anything, because the second everyone finds out about it, it's gone. That's for sure. So that frog farm thing, people were just basically AFK clicking away on that shit, doing absolutely nothing but standing still and farming bronze, and now it's gone. And the video I posted about it, like I said, in the first couple hours had like 10k views. It was popping off, insane. People were extremely passionate about the frog farm and how it had been removed from the game and how some people didn't get their chance to really grind it out like others, and now there's some people who are extremely rich in bronze and others who aren't. The best thing that Blizzard could do, I feel like, is kind of nerf the amount of bronze required to basically cap out your gear. And they might do it eventually, but I don't see them retroactively deleting people's accounts, banning people, or doing anything about the bronze that people got, because at the end of the day, there's no real end game to this, right? It's just a power leveling thing, like I said earlier. So there's not going to be there's no reason to believe that they broke the game by doing the frog farming thing. It was a thing. People who did it, and they got a lot of bronze out of it.
Heads and bronze, but most importantly, those charms of good fortune, which could be turned in for a box full of
sorry to hear that,
threads and the bronze. It was by far the fastest way to farm, and frankly, it turned the approach of the remix into this very simple, just do a 2x4 farming spree in the group finder, and that didn't take much of any effort or skill or planning. It didn't really need anything that the remix had to offer. You just
people were basically skipping the entirety of the remix event, just sitting on the frog farm. I do understand why Blizzard nerfed it. I mean, it kind of eliminated the entire point of the event. All this content that they put in was basically not getting done because people were just farming these frogs.
To find the group, tag mobs, and you're done. Now, of course, the point of the remix is also to cheese content by playing with the gem combinations and get stats.
Yeah, the charms are a big part of it.
To your enemies all over the place. The problem with the frog farm was that, again, you didn't even have to do that. So while I'm surprised that it even made launch in the first place, I am not surprised that it's gone. What I've noticed, though, are conclusions from critics and other commentators that the remix is, oh my god, it's ruined, because a handful of very strong characters are like weeks or maybe months ahead of others who just wanted to play their own way and get strong and farm bronze and whatever. And I feel like I should just take some time to respond to that.
Okay,
So
here's what I'm gonna say about it though, guys. There's like still, as of right now, like 90 days left in this event. Everybody's gonna get everything eventually. Does it stink that it's gonna take you a bit more time than it did the guy who basically got to do the farm exploit? Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, everyone's gonna be caught up because, like I said, there's a ceiling to all of this. There's no true end game to it. There's no expansive expansion to this. There's nothing else. It is about getting the transmog and the mounts and everything else. And some people are going to get them before others, but otherwise, you're going to have time. This event is extremely long. You got 3 months left. You're going to have plenty of time to get this shit done. You're just not going to do it instantly.
this isn't me like dropping some base take or clapping back at the haters. Like, I'm just sharing my perspective here. And you might think that I'm wrong, and that's totally cool. I'm not trying to defend anything here. But anyway, let's remind ourselves what the remix is. It's this fully opened up expansion experience for Miss Pandaria where we just like have at it. If we want to, we can make a character and level it to 70, and then when that's done, use the bronze that they got to buy whatever cosmetics that we can.
Right.
And then,
Cosmetics, mounts, other things.
leave that thing for later. Make another character, and then do it again, maybe a little bit faster. And that can be all it is in order to get most of the rewards that you want, and then you'd be fine. And I thought I'd do that, but after the interview that I did, I got the impression that eventually I'll be able to solo dungeons or raids or maybe even Mythic Garrosh.
Yeah, you're gonna go God mode.
That kind of planted a seed in my head, and it eventually led to me changing my approach. So after completing the important achievements that I wanted to do at first, because that was like my first part of the plan, I decided, okay, I'm gonna seek out power instead, and I've been walking down that route since. Now I do confess that I farmed frogs for like I'd say an hour or so. Like I hesitated to do it at the start because hyperspawn farms, they're not my idea of a good time. I mean, you could just keep looking at my B-roll if you want to get an idea.
They're
of
not
what
exciting
I think
content, that's for sure.
kind of a good time. But I did do it for a bit, and I saw the benefits, I saw the speed and the advantage, and I thought, okay, this is this is definitely going to be nerfed. But I didn't even want to stick around before it went away because, again, that's just not. It's not how I wanted to define my remix experience. I didn't want to look back and be like, oh yeah, here's what I did. That was my story.
Here's the thing. Like a lot of comments I've seen are Blizzard being the fun police, basically coming in and deleting fun things. It's not fun. Let's be honest. There was nothing fun about the frog farm or the goat farm or whatever farm you want to call it. It was just a silly thing where you could quickly gather up a bunch of resources without doing the actual content you were supposed to be doing. That was the most fun part about it, was looking at your bronze and your other things increasing and your cloak increasing in value. But besides that, there was nothing really fun about it. The sad part is yes, people got to do it, other people didn't, and now the people who didn't feel like, well, my time is money, and I have to invest more time to get the things I want than this guy who basically got to farm the fucking bronze away. Well, it's unfortunate. There's nothing really, life ain't fair. What are we gonna do? But I don't think that it's something Blizzard should have kept in the game because I do think it would have wrecked the entire event. People would have just sat there all day. We're degenerates at the end of the day. That's what WoW players are. And we're going to do the stupid thing, even if it's stupid, to get the stuff we want.
Didn't sound very fun or memorable. So
you're still going to be able to solo raid,
that's for sure.
Just more later on.
Stuff out here and there, I found my home here in the Heart of Fear raid. When I heard about the frog nerf, I was still in here, and even when I was participating in different conversations and discourse around that subject, I was here. I was plugging away and gaining my bits of strength. To me, this still feels good because it's me doing this without additional help, and there's at least a measure of
I see your comment, K1. Being OP is fun. Farming equals being OP. This is true. I mean, I don't disagree. Being OP is fun as hell. That's why I talk about sometimes the corrupted shit at the end of BFA and how ridiculous it was. It broke the game, but it was fun because you were OP as shit. I don't disagree. But the thing is, you are going to eventually be OP in Mists of Pandaria Remix. It's designed to be that way. You're going to break the game at the end. That's how it's supposed to be. But the whole thing about farming frogs to get there just seems like you're bypassing the entire intent of this thing. And they put in all this work into creating all these ways that you can get bronze and basically playing through the content. And the truth is, if you're sitting on a frog farm clicking frogs, killing frogs, you're not playing through the content. You're just rushing to the end game. And I understand for a lot of people that would have been fun, but it's God, it's outside of the intent of what this event is.
Of the remix's features that it gives me that sense of satisfaction, like, hey, I'm participating, I'm using the game,
You're gonna be
and
OP eventually.
this
You
is
just
what
gotta
I'm
do it the
getting
right
out
way.
of it. The frog stuff highlighted what might be an ugly truth about the remix that maybe people forgot about, even if, or maybe they're even in denial about it. Critics are arguing that folks who took advantage of frogs, or the frogging, that they have this unfair advantage and that they can't catch up. It only sort of makes sense to me because the advantage relative to
It's a
what,
temporary
that
advantage.
depends on each person. But more broadly, or more philosophically, what we're seeing is what happens when World of Warcraft does not do certain things like cap progress each week, or otherwise put in controls that both prevent players from getting too far too fast, and letting players who come in late to the game catch up. We don't have that here.
No.
But it's like, hey, that's a Dragonflight thing. All we have to do is look in that direction to see different sorts of complaints over having to farm for flight stones. Like, oh god,
Right.
we hate the cap, and we hate capping on crests. Blizz, just, let us play the game, right? Now, I'm not trying to say that one method is better than the other, just that these are the consequences of having like this system or that system with the control. Players
Yeah.
are going to respond in different ways, and even if there was no frog farm, we would still eventually,
Oh yeah.
maybe not so soon, but we would eventually see a number of those players who happen to be more dedicated, happen to have more time on their hands,
Yeah.
happen to be streamers, so it's part of how
Hey.
they make a living.
Hey, what?
We would see these people be ahead
Feel
of
attacked.
others, and that's going to make some people feel envious. As the remix progresses, the WoW team is going to help players along somehow,
How about
some way.
this though too? I mean, yeah, I get being OP is fun. You're gonna get your shot to be OP. Like I said, there is some time gatiness to this. It's supposed to be that way. The game is not supposed to be achievable where you can do it all in one day. But the end game is coming, and I promise you guys, by the end of this event, I will chop off my hand if Blizzard doesn't create some kind of crazy bronze catch up. I guarantee it's going to happen. It's going to happen because there's no power attached to this. This is all about transmog. They're going to want to build up hype because this is going to end in the War Within pre-patch or whatever is probably going to hit right after. To get people to come back, they're going to do it. They're going to launch like this crazy get as much bronze as possible campaign for like the last couple weeks, and you're going to be able to get everything you want. So don't worry about it. Now, if you missed out on the frog farm, it's your luck. What are you going to do?
Like, hot fixes have already happened, with more on the way, but the very core of the remix's design is very hands
I
off
missed out on
of
it.
the
Look.
ideas of caps and catch ups. This weekend showed us an example of that thanks to an oversight on the devs' part, a bug. But even without it, this discourse was going to happen. Meanwhile, I've just been, I've been hanging out in here mostly, plugging away, getting a bunch of stats and a handful of bronze, and I'm probably getting bronze faster than like normal, just not at frog speed, of course. And for many of you, maybe this doesn't look like any fun at all.
I was gonna
Again,
say, like, does this look like fun? Is this how it was intended to be played? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, he's just running through a dungeon over and over, grinding it out. I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be a cap here. This is probably going to get fixed too, because this isn't supposed to happen. But he's grinding out the bronze. He's doing whatever he wants to get the bronze. And when Blizzard comes in and eliminates a silly way to play through the game, you can't be upset with him. You just got to kind of move on and say, well, that route's gone. Now I got to do it another way, and you figure out how to do it another way the best. The like I said, the catch ups will come, the bronze will come, and your power will come eventually. You're just gonna have to be
I'm not
patient.
here defending my approach or strategy. Of course, maybe some of you are taking down notes, or you're heading over to Heart of Fear right now to try this out. I guess what I feel is like a little bit saddened, is that there are those people out there who care way too much about how others are doing, if that
Yeah.
makes any
Yeah,
sense.
100%.
And from there, they're making suggestions to be like, hey, you know what? The game should change for everyone because I want to be satisfied.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, I saw a lot of comments of people saying like delete those people's accounts, take away all their bronze, ban them from the game mode, like these crazy, like way over the top comments about how these people should be punished for doing the farm. At the end of the day, they weren't necessarily doing anything wrong. This was just a game mode that was allowed to be exploited, and they're not harming anybody else. Like when Blizzard finds out that somebody did something in retail that basically harmed the other players, harmed the player base, or kind of created a skip mechanic where basically you were getting so far ahead of everybody else that it was in fact harming people. That's when they start, their bans and shit like that. But stuff like this, nobody's being harmed by it. It's all about transmog and leveling. There is no harm coming to other players because somebody farmed frogs. So to call out for people's accounts to be deleted to me is extremely over the top.
Some cases, maybe cases like this, it does feel discouraging to take that climb of, gaining power, or I guess bronze or whatever, knowing that someone got to that height in an unfair way, in this case the frogs and stuff. The problem is, though, even without the frogs, the remix just isn't designed to be necessarily fair in the way that we might think or want it to be. But that's why I always try to preach attainable goals and realistic expectations in my commentary. Like, floating out there is other discourse over feeling forced to grind out 1 point something million bronze in order to get all of the rewards that the remix has to offer. Now, some of the facts there, or I guess all the facts there, are kind of true, but dude, that's like no way to get someone excited or curious about a game feature like this. Like, it's way better to show people this one cool shaman set or this very cool mount. And what if I were to tell you, like, hey, you can get both the set and the mount just by leveling one character in the remix, and by smashing quests and killing mobs. Like, I'm not good on the average amount of bronze that's earned per character, but for me it happened to be 65,000 or so bronze that I got by the time I hit level 70. But hey, it's cool being able to tell someone, dude, you can get that one reward through this very easy to understand path by leveling and gathering up this currency, and then you can buy all this stuff. Hey, check it out. Now, maybe it'll take a person...
The truth is, you could just play the game and get the currency. You don't have to necessarily grind anything. If you level up multiple characters, kind of like what he's talking about here, you'll get bronze. You'll get a lot of it. And that's probably what Blizzard's intention was. This was not meant to be a single playthrough event, because you could tell just from the cape, the way it works, the cloak, and how you can level up your next character even faster. They wanted you to play through this a couple times. Level up a couple characters and then pick somebody for the expansion to play on. So just doing that, you'll get bronze. You don't have to grind anything out. You don't have to play this in a stupid way. Just play it however you want, and you'll get your shit.
A day or two or more, but they can imagine it. They can fathom it.
You don't got to torture yourself. It's just a game.
Drop in the grand total with a reminder that this is a limited time event. That's kind of like clickbait, I guess. I mean, yeah, I guess it's factual information, but there's no context. It's not personalized for the listener, for the viewer, and it's easily misleading. And that sort of stuff just rubs me the wrong way. But you know what? I think for now, I'm going to stop. I know that I got pretty ranty there at a few points, but if just for curiosity's sake, if you want to look at the screen real quick, I'm going to try to summarize or average how much stuff I earned.
1,500 bronze from this.
So the floor is yours. Share your thoughts, because I just did. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.
It's like a 10-minute recording, basically 10 minutes of that video there, and you got 1,500 bronze. Not bad. That's pretty good. Yeah. Interesting video. I know it's very controversial. A lot of people have a lot to say about this stuff. Like I said, deleting people's accounts and everything. I mean, come on. There's no real game-breaking mechanic going on here. Eventually, you'll get your transmogs, you'll get your mounts, you'll get your power and everything else. And like I said, I promise you, if you're worried about not getting everything, there's going to be a catch-up. There's going to be a catch-up at the end. Like Blizzard always does it, especially for these little events. They did it for Plunderstorm. Everyone bitched about Plunderstorm early on, about the rankings and everything. What'd they do at the end? They've created like double ranking weeks and shit like that, and you can get all your plunder and everything twice as fast. They're going to do the same for this, so don't worry. And the frog farmers, congratulations. You won the early game.